Meal prepping copious amounts of juicy chicken used to be a dream of mine. Now it's a weekly reality. I'm going to show you how I do it for both breasts and thighs and how I use each chicken type for easily hitting my macros. Stick around to the end for a useful screenshot. For either breasts or thighs, I preheat the oven at 425 degrees Fahrenheit or 218 C. Let's start with chicken breast, boneless and skinless, the cheapest of which I have been finding at Meijer for my American peeps out there. Chicken breast is loved only for its high protein content, much less for its notorious dryness and lack of flavor. But I'm gonna change that. Some people might fuss about the fatty bits here, but I will only bother picking off the easier to remove ones like this one. Everything else will render into a puddle of juices anyway. The real point of concern is getting all these breasts to cook at the same rate in order to reduce any overcooked dry parts. I have a solution for that too. It's quicker and less messy for me to use the palm of my hand than a meat mallet to even out the thickness of these breasts. As I press on my palm, I'm breaking apart a lot of the muscle fibers, mechanically tenderizing the meat, which is something that a knife won't do. It's the best of both worlds, really. The only drawback is that your breasts may come out looking mangled. Not a big deal for me since this is all going to be chopped up in the end anyway. If I need a little more force, I may even resort to tearing the breast to help break apart the fibers. The goal here is a roughly 3/4 inch or 2 centimeter thickness throughout each breast. As I flatten out the breasts, I pack them in one at a time with the goal of having one even layer of chicken throughout. Crowding the pan like this is going to help the juices build up and keep the bottoms and sides of the breasts from sticking or burning. Makes for easy cleanup too. Lazy meal prep at its finest. Now I'll season this chicken with some salt, just enough to lightly cover it, black pepper, and garlic powder. This ensures that the chicken will be bland while giving it a flavor profile that is versatile enough to use in pretty much any dish. You can add what you'd like depending on your use case. Just make sure to sneeze on your breast before putting them in the oven. Between 17 and 21 minutes should have you well within the juicy zone, depending on how thick your breasts are. To be safe, the internal temp should reach 165 F or 74 C. 20 minutes should be just right for these. Here to collect the chicken tax, but I won't pay. Taking my chicken out of the oven, as you can see, there's a good deal of chicken juice in the pan. I'll use that later. I set the breasts onto a cutting board to have them rest for at least 5 minutes before cutting into them. As I cube the breasts, I throw them back into the pan to soak up the juices. They are already pretty juicy, but this will help them stay that way. And since I won't be using any right away, I set aside to cool down completely before packing it all into a freezer-safe Ziploc bag. Squeeze out as much air as possible and spread out the goods to make for easier retrieval later. You'll see what I mean. Toss in the freezer.
Are you liking the chicken, huh?
Chicken! Thighs. Boneless, skinless. Even easier to make than chicken breasts. Full of fat and connective tissue, you can nuke these and they'd still be juicy. Again, no need to remove the bits of fat, but do remove any bits of bone. I just put them in one at a time, making sure to place the thicker parts furthest from the center of the pan. It helps some with more even heating. After crowding them all in one flat layer, I season with salt, black pepper, garlic powder, and smoked paprika, and they go for 25 minutes. You can see there's a lot more juice. These I'll let cool for 5 to 10 minutes in the pan as they aren't really going to overcook anyway. Then I cube them, as you can see, very juicy, and throw them back into the pan until they're cooled down enough to bag, squeeze, and label before throwing in the freezer. But let's go back. How do you use it? Anytime you see serving size amounts and nutrition information on a package of raw meat, those numbers are referring to the raw weight of the product. Once cooked, these numbers change by some amount. When it comes to chicken, breast or thighs, every 100 grams of raw chicken will lose about 30% of its weight when cooked. Therefore, 100 grams of raw chicken has about the same nutritional composition as 70 grams of cooked chicken. Let's look at it from a protein-first perspective. Let's say I need 20 grams of protein per serving. If I'm fulfilling that need with chicken breast, that would mean I need this much raw or this much cooked chicken breast. If I'm fulfilling that need with chicken thighs, I would need this much raw or this much cooked. You can take that screenshot now, or just check the description where you can always find this information. Interestingly, for breast or thighs, this comes out to about half a cup of cooked chicken. Throw in the fridge, throw it directly into whatever you're cooking, or put in a bowl with a splash of water and microwave for a couple minutes before quick reheating. As of late, my favorite use for chicken thighs has been on my high protein freezer pizza recipe with hot sauce. Watch that video next for one of the easiest pizzas you can make.